Welcome everyone. We're now here with Noise here on Van's Warped Tour. How about you guys introduce yourself and tell us a bit about the band?
I'm KJ, I play guitar.
And I'm Shawn, and I sing.
So when did the band start and actually, start touring and all that stuff?
2 years ago. We started writing about 2.5, 3 years ago, right?
But essentially, 2014.
Yeah.
Did you guys do any other projects before the White Noise?
Yeah, really bad ones.
We had a metalcore band called Set the Sun, and it wasn't our band, it was David's band, actually.
That he made in high school, and we just they were doing really well locally, and him and I were just friends, and we wanted to play in a band that, wasn't just a bunch of, redneck drunk because we were both in those kind of bands. So we just joined David's band, and kind of were like, all right, we kind of don't like this music, and then we made our own band. So
Did you guys click musically right away?
Him and I did. He liked a lot of
Not
stuff.
really. No. Honestly, I did most of the writing even in the beginning. It was basically just Shawn and I working together, and I would just write ideas and bring them to the band, and we'd finish them. But no one else really had to help in anything previously.
So what are some artists that you grew up that inspired you to become a musician?
I grew up listening to a lot of various stuff. Honestly, I really listened to a lot of music like Third Eye Blind and Jimmy World and even Green Day, when I was younger. But I got really into Nirvana and Nine Inch Nails, and then when I was in high school, I got into hardcore music, which is really just what the band's based off of. It's like Converge and Hope Conspiracy. So that's a lot of what shaped the music I really got into.
For me, it was just very eccentric people like Rob Zombie, Korn was huge for me, Slipknot, and then I found bands like Rancid and AFI and like he said, Green Day, bands like Sum 41, just Anti-Flag, like all those bands, and kind of really just got me excited to be like, oh wow, you can say what you want. You don't have to be pretty and sing and whatever. You can just have a voice and have a purpose, and that's all that matters. So that's what those bands did for me.
So what are some of your current favorite artists and maybe some releases so far this year that you really enjoyed?
I'm trying to think. What have we been listening to? On Warped Tour, I'll say that I've been getting to bands like Fire from the Gods is really good, and they kill it every time I watch them. Amir's really good. I like that recent album they put out, and we have a band on their stage called The Microwave, and they're really good too.
Oh, yeah,
so we've been listening to them. So it's funny. There's some bands I just I've heard of maybe, or just really never listened to that much. I just didn't know much about them until we got on Warped Tour, and we've recently just we'll make our rounds and watch every band.
We try to watch everything.
We'll check everyone out, but a lot of the newer bands we've been really getting into. Siler has a great album.
Siler is incredible. I never thought I would listen to them or enjoy them, but Jay's like the coolest guy one of the coolest guys I've met, and super nice, and they play with heart every time they play.
So talking about kind of learning about these new bands on Warped, and this is kind of big for you guys because it does the same thing, knowing these other bands, discovering you through, I believe, the Full Sail stage? Skull Candy stage, my mistake.
They're
they're basically the same thing.
So what was your reaction when you found out that you're going to be on this year's tour?
We're excited because, we're so new that it's funny, we've been realizing how new we are. Most of the people that we remember from previous shows. There's not that many people that come. Yeah, there's a handful of people that know us from previous tours, but a majority of the crowd are people that have just never heard of us before. So we're pretty excited to finally play in front of a various group of people. Not just the same thing you get from each tour, which is if you're on the scene tour, you get the scene kids. If you're on the punk tour, you get the punk kids.
So kind of get everything with this. So it's really nice because we like both worlds.
So you guys recently debuted a full LP about a week ago or so?
The 23rd, yeah.
The 23rd. And it's called AM PM. So how long was the writing process for that, and what went into the production?
It was pretty long, honestly. It got stretched out just because we were touring so much, so it lasted about a year or so, maybe a little bit more. We had half the album done. Originally, the EP we had was part of a full length, and then the label decided, oh, you're so new, let's put on an EP just to kind of get you engage people, get fans. So we did that, and so it split up the album, and it became half the album was done, and half we had to write over
just
tour. They would tour, and sometimes I wouldn't even be with them. I would stay home and I would just keep writing and working.
Yeah, so we'd get like 2 weeks, and then be like, hey, let's try
and
bust out 3 songs.
We actually asked for more time. I called Bob, the head of Furious, and was like, hey, can we get more time? And he gave us more time, which is awesome.
That's good. We
needed
it.
I saw a post, and it's kind of true with this record, where it was kind of like this kind of layer of experimentation and sound-wise for you guys. So what was the parts that you really enjoyed?
For me, I know everything seems kind of just it's pretty eclectic, I guess, but to us it just seems normal, because when I listened to bands before, most of the bands I listened to, everything was pretty diverse. You get a heavy song, then you get acoustic song, then you got this, and even the Used, or honestly even if you listen like 311 or Incubus, not everything was the same. I think people are just so used to that now that when they hear something else, they're like, oh, that's strange, like, why is it so weird to hear one song that's acoustic and one song that's this or that? It shouldn't matter, so for us, I think what we think our sound is for me at least, is all the industrial stuff I try to put in, which is a 9 Inch Nails element. So a lot of the heavier stuff is what I kind of think of our band, the aggressive rock stuff, I guess you will.
Aggressive rock, definitely.
So how do you guys go about actually structuring the songs and making it a thing, like together?
For me, I kind of just reference songs that were great from back then. Like if you think like Semi-Charmed Life, that's like a great well-written pop song, so it just depends on what it is. There's just a lot of songs, and I just try to reference the structure, and I try to make sure that everything flows cohesively. I think the thing is, people assume that everything has to be the same, but for us it's just the motion of the song, so I'll just make sure that everything has a purpose to it. I'll just like throw a breakdown, for instance, just to have a breakdown in there. If it matches intensity of the song, then I'll put a heavy part in there. But it just depends on what the song is, essentially.
What are some things you guys want to work on as a band on further releases?
Honestly, just I don't ever want us to get pigeonholed into one sound, and I don't think that's going to happen. So it's kind of limitless, honestly. We don't know what the next record's going to sound like. We don't know what the next song's going to be. We don't know any of that. So we like to keep an open mind, and we're not like, oh, well, we have to do this because that's what people like. We're just when we get to sit down and start writing, we're just kind of whatever happens, I guess.
I think for me, I would like to have everyone else have a bigger hand in the writing process. Previously, it was just the producer Drew Folk and I that did majority of the writing, and I just not to say that anyone else couldn't have done anything. It was just I was very hands-on, so I did everything basically myself. But now as everyone's growing, I would like everyone else to have a hand in writing and stuff. So that's kind of what we'd like to work on in the future, is having everyone's input be used
and have it be good.
It's just like I wouldn't use other people's input just because I didn't think it was gonna be good.
We were just such a new band that it kind of had to be like the small collective group of him, Drew, and I just kind of working on everything, and then having them just kind of learn the songs, because we were still figuring out what we wanted to do. We were figuring out what we wanted to sound like. So it was like
I've written songs my entire life, like literally since I was like 8. That's like the one thing I focused on, which is weird. When I was a kid, I wasn't like, I'm gonna be the best guitar player. I was always concerned about writing songs. So that's why I just have more experience than everyone. So in my opinion, it's like in the bands, no matter if it's songwriting, touring, or whatever you're trying to do, it's who's ever the greatest at it. Let that person do it. Tommy's good with money, so I'm like, dude,
he does our finances.
Yeah, like please, I'm not gonna worry about accounting. Let Tommy worry about that. Shawn's great at promoting and talking to people and being a good performer, so we let him do his thing, honestly. So it just depends on what it is.
So what are some maybe cool facts about the release people may not know about, whether it's a background for a song or something about the recent music video you made?
This is kind of a random thing. What I think is really funny, I've gotten messages, because I always try and message as many people as I can and talk back and respond when I can, and I get so many that are like, you sound so much better on these new songs. I'm like, well, recorded those over 2 years ago, but thank you very much.
That is pretty
like
funny.
that, I love hearing that.
So
they're like, you sound better. You're way better. And
it's like, well, that was around the same time, so I don't know what you think you're hearing, but that's the same.
So that's cool, I guess.
I would say that a lot of those songs were actually I call them like 11th hour songs. Like when you have your album written and then you have like the last remaining couple of days and you're like squeezing the song and those become the best songs. Like there's a lot of that. Some of those songs almost ended up like they were pretty. We actually re-recorded vocals on I Lost My Mind in California and the best songs are dead. Like literally when the album was done, I was like, we gotta do these vocals again. So some of that stuff got finished like very last minute. Honestly.
We even best songs wasn't a completely different structure too, right?
Yeah, we changed
so
it.
Because originally when we hit our deadline, like we were like, we don't want to turn this in. Like we had songs that we were just we're like that's not right, and then like you said, we got to extend it and kind of really focus on them and get them to where we wanted.
So I want to just thank you guys for talking to me and telling us about the band and your journey as a band and the new album. Hopefully in the future you guys can come into the studio and
that'd be great.
It'll be really cool.
Yeah.
And that's about it. People, stay tuned for more interviews.
Thank you.